Welcome to Nickel City Mafia, where we talk all things Buffalo and then some. Today, we're going to get in recapping that Denver Bills preseason game yesterday. Oh, man, a lot of things look good, a lot of things. But we're going to put things in perspective and get into that. Jake, how you doing this morning?
Never been better, Mike. Never been better. I I am staying away from the Labatt this morning. Had several beverages last night, so we're just waking ourselves up with a little bit of Celsius. No big deal.
All right, well, I had a few folks say, hey, you forgot to do Stump Jake last week.
Oh, so here we go.
Before we get into talk about our giveaway and get into the show, we're going to have a little fun, little random draw out of the, again, I hope this company reaches out to me. We've been promoting this one. Who's the Man? Football edition, all about Buffalo. So good stuff. Here we go. Let's give it let's give it a real promo here. All right.
Here we go, baby.
Last time, I'm going to consider it a stump if we get you on the first three questions. If you can't get it by the first three, I think we stumped you. All right,
I like that criteria. I think that makes sense, and I am on board.
Because there's 5 questions, and obviously the lower we go, the easier they get.
That's right.
I like this one. Here we go. First question. Caught 10 passes for 255 yards and 4 touchdowns in just his 4th game as a pro.
Those are insane numbers.
That is crazy. It's like you start thinking to yourself, was that Gabe Davis from the 13-second game?
Right. Lee Evans is a potential name in my mind here, but I don't know if he had 4 touchdowns. He had 289 or 292 yards, I think, which set the Bills record. So I don't think it was Lee Evans. So never mind. Keep going.
All right. Clue number 2. Spent his entire 8-year NFL career with the Bills.
Okay, so it's definitely not Lee Evans. Wow. All right. Just his 4th game, he caught 10 for 255 and 4.
In just his 4th game as a pro.
That is wild.
That is impressive. Okay.
Spent his entire 8-year career. Okay. So it can't be. We're ruling out a lot of guys already. Some primetime names. You can't be Eric Moulds because he actually finished his career with the the Titans, I believe. Can't be Lee Evans, like I said. I'm thinking it's not a recent guy. Can't be Stevie Johnson. Gonna have to go a little more old school. Maybe it's how long did Bob with the Bills?
Did you say who'd you say?
I said Bob Chandler.
Okay, you broke out there a little bit. I know it's not Bob Chandler.
Okay, it's not. No, I'm thinking how many years did he play with the Bills?
Talk it through. This is
8 years. Okay, this is great. I love this stuff. This is firing me up a little bit. Okay, can't be Andre Reed. Let's see.
And why couldn't it be Andre Reed?
Why? Well, he didn't play 8 years. It was more than 8 years with the Bills, and he also finished his career with the Washington R-Words.
All right. So I just want to let the people know your thought process.
This is the thought process. Yeah, I got it. I'm going through. We're trying to go to different eras. Frank Lewis is a potential name as well. He was really good in the early 80s, but I don't know if he had 8 years with us. Albert Dubinion's a name really good name. He was excellent for us. Oh, man.
All right, Jake, I think we're going to have to go to the
let's go to the next question.
If you don't get it here, we have stumped you.
Okay.
All right, so he was a first-round draft pick out of Clemson University by the Bills. First-round draft pick, 8-year entire career with the Bills.
Okay.
10 passes for 255 yards and 4 touchdowns in just his 4th game as a pro.
His 4th game as a pro. Mike, you picked some good ones here. This is
random. I just picked it out of the box there, Jake.
Wow. The last few have been like tougher ones,
Yeah.
And he went to Clemson. Okay. Clemson guy. Wow. And who's to say it is a receiver? I'm guessing it's a receiver, but I can't foresee a Bills tight end having these numbers or a running back even for that matter.
I will say it is a receiver.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Wow. It's got to be an older player. It's got to be an old school player, I'm thinking. Clemson guy. I'm usually good with colleges, too. This is how we test my sobriety, Mike. Usually, if I can't name where they went to school, then that means I'm drunk and I can't drive. So,
Did you have a late night last night? Did you have some?
No. Actually, it was a pretty early night. I mean, we did a little bit of partying, but it wasn't anything crazy. I mean, it was just a little get together. Had some pizzas, no big deal. A little celebration after the Bills win.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna have to call it, Jake. We officially stumped you. Let me give you the fourth clue.
All right.
I think this might help you. Led the 1985 Bills in receiving yards with 770, while starting opposite a rookie wideout Andre Reed. So he started opposite rookie Andre Reed in 1985.
Wow, I should have this.
You should. You should.
What the heck? Why am I drawing a blank? Preseason, man. I'll tell you, we're getting the kinks out. Give me another one.
All right, here we go. Final clue. Suffered a career-ending ankle injury on November 16th, 1986 touchdown against the Dolphins.
I think Brian Label got it there.
No,
actually, Tuttle. No, it's not.
No Tuttle.
It can't be. Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I actually don't know, Mike.
It's like a. You ever play the game Clue?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think this person's.
I love Clue.
A character in the Clue, but the Butler did it. Jerry.
Oh
Butler.
my gosh, Jerry Butler.
Butler is the answer. Man, we really
that was good. That was good. Hand up. You know what? I gotta go back to the drawing board, do some more research, because and this is why I go on Pro Football Reference every single day, and I can name you all. I have to brush up. I will admit, I have to brush up on my 80s Bills knowledge, because that 80s time period is so weird for me. They were never really a notable team, which really, I pay attention to the non-notable teams, so this is a terrible excuse. But the 80s, man, I always struggle with that. At least I had Frank Lewis in the 80s, but that was the early 80s. But
you definitely got to go back and because a lot of the trivia games are going to be asking about those, mid 80s, early 90s. I'm sure So anyhow, good stuff there.
It's not a good look for me right now. I mean, you're talking me up as the guru over here. I can't even name Jerry Butler. That's terrible.
Well, again, I always give you a pass. I mean, these are guys before you were even born.
Doesn't matter. You're not a true fan if you can't name the entire roster through 1960 onward. So I just, you know what? I'm not a true fan, I guess. Plain and simple.
All right. Well, good stuff. All right. So before we get into the show real quick, Jake, this is your and I, our final show before the giveaway next week, right? So this is the last chance that people are going to have an opportunity to get more entries into the giveaway. And I'll throw it over to you. Tell the folks what that giveaway is. And then we'll play a little clip from our great sponsor, Auto, spelled O-R-T-O. And then we'll get into the game.
Sounds good. Yes. So you have an opportunity. This is the last full week, I guess I could say, right? Mm-hmm. Of being able to enter in for a chance to win two tickets to the Bills home opener against the Tennessee Titans on September 19th. It's the first of two Monday nighters, going to be the most watched Monday nighter in NFL history. 7:00 start or 7:15 start. Just a really good opportunity. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel and put a comment on any one of our videos between the 30th of July and the 28th of August. And the 28th is actually when we're going to do the drawing. So you don't want to miss out. In addition, we're going to throw in a $100 Visa gift card for your choosing of whatever you want to use it on. Maybe it's for parking. Maybe it's for some beers at the stadium. Maybe it's for some food. Who knows? But anyways, great opportunity. Don't want to miss out. I've been posting about it on social media. Mike's been posting about it. So you want to get involved, definitely get into this contest. It's a great thing. And if you're there, I'll be there as well. So it'll be a good time.
Yeah, hopefully they can meet up and take some pictures. All right, let's give a little 25-second clip about Auto, a little more information. Here we go.
40% of the cars on the road hold a hidden history. With the Auto app, you simply photograph any car, and using our AI license plate recognition technology, you'll instantly have accident, sales, and owner data from multiple sources at your fingertips. If you work in the car industry or are simply buying a used car, use Auto to get the full picture. Search Auto, spelled O-R-T-O, on the App Store.
There you go. Cool little app you can download on your Android device, your Apple device. And as I've been saying all along, my 17-year-old son is looking for a new car, and we've had to use it a couple times. It's free to use. You get up to 15 free pulls. If you need more, there's a subscription. But for the average person is not looking for a used car all the time, we've been using it. A couple times the seller didn't reveal everything. It showed us some salvage history and saved us a lot of grief. So check it out. Great stuff from Auto, spelled O-R-T-O. Thank you. So let's get into one other thing before we get into the show. Just letting everyone know, the full description to the giveaway is down there in our description, right? Just click that link. And you want to do that because you want to listen to it. I know it's 4 minutes and 40 seconds. And Jake, it doesn't seem that a lot of people have that amount of time, because I'm looking at the average duration on that thing is around a minute. But I'm like, just listen to it, because it'll tell you how to get more entries, potential entries. And you want to put a comment on that video. And like Jake said, all videos going forward, put a comment on there, and then you will potentially have more entries. What's going to happen is there'll be a final wheel that we're going to show live next Sunday. We're going to have the wheel up. It's going to have all the names of all the potential winners. We're going to spin that wheel, and one lucky person is going to win that. By the way, so I was getting into, also in the description of the video is our Discord channel. We started the Discord channel, I don't know, about a month ago. It's a lot of fun. Been getting a lot of use for the golf show. Those guys are sweating it out on Fridays. But we also have, there's three threads in there. If you join the Discord, there's a Buffalo Bills thread. Jake and I are in there. We'd love to see you join. And then we have a fantasy football one, which you're going to want to use if you're in the fantasy football, and of course the golf one. All right, enough of all the admin stuff. Let's get into this game. I mean,
well, real quick before you move forward, Mike,
right,
I had so many jokes teed up when you were saying the duration of the average watch time. I thought you were going to say 13 seconds or something like that. No. I'm so glad you didn't. And then yesterday, of course, when we're texting, there's 13 seconds left in the game, and you're like, oh no, 13 seconds left. They need it out. But anyways, go ahead. I'll let you continue.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game, and it's hard to find any negatives. We'll try to find negatives, but mostly just positives on this game. But let's start with the defense because they were on the field first, and let's set the stage. I always like to set the stage because we pretty much started 70% of our day one starters, projected day one starters. So we had 70% of our defense out there. We didn't have Von Miller. We didn't have Jordan Poyer, and we didn't have Micah Hyde out there. And, of course, Trey White. But right now, Jake, I'm making the assumption that Trey White is not a day one starter. He would if he's healthy, but I'm not thinking he is. So if that holds true, then we had about 70% of our starting defense going against pretty much the backups for Denver. So let's paint that picture first. And it's kind of reverse of last week where we had our backups going against some of Indy's starters. Not the case this week. So let's talk about that defense here. And Jake, let me throw it to you. Let's start with that defensive line. Any standouts for you? And
yeah, in that initial series, Jordan Phillips was definitely a standout for me. I thought he played an excellent game yesterday. He looked really good. That initial drive, though, Mike, I will say there were a lot of missed tackles, and we looked a little sloppy. Mike Boone looked like a human wrecking ball out there, people just bouncing off him. He was shedding tackles left and right, and they went down and got a field goal on that. But just running it back to the D-line there, I thought Jordan Phillips definitely stood out a little bit yesterday. Didn't hear a ton about Ed Oliver. I know he started off the game as well, and then we had AJ
he was in there
Epinesa.
briefly.
Yeah, it was very short stint.
Yeah.
And then AJ Epinesa, again, very quiet yesterday. He started in place of Von Miller. And then we had on the other side, Greg Rousseau, of course, who didn't really hear a whole lot about him either. So I don't think they were in super long or anything like that. I think Epinesa played maybe a couple series, and then he was subbed out. Boogie Basham came in again and played a decent amount of time in there. So, Yeah, overall defensive line with the starting unit there, I thought out of the four guys, definitely Jordan Phillips was the biggest shiner yesterday. Did a pretty solid job. Shaq Lawson, yeah, Dad, as you mentioned there, I thought he played fantastic too, but he came in afterwards and he had that nice deflection and he was looking for the ball, almost got an interception on that too. I was really fired up about that. That would have been pretty cool to see. But yeah.
Yeah, so Shaq Lawson was one of the notes I had. Good stuff there, Al, and thanks, Jake. And if I had any negative for any in this game at all, it was that first drive. I mean, we had our pretty much, like I said, 70% of our starters in there, and I was expecting it to be a quick 3-and-out. Maybe I have too high of expectations. This is the first time they're on the field together, playing in a real football game, and they were able to drive the ball down. But after that, it was lights out. So
it was incredible.
That's really the only negative thing. There's some penalties that were called, of course, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But that was really it, man. Because after that, like you said, you had texted me and are like, we're bullying. I'm like, we are bullying the Broncos right now.
Physically, through the air, it was just an all-around great game. Even specials, I thought we did an excellent job on. So, I will say maybe kickoff coverage could have been a touch better. We allowed 2 40-plus yard or 2 50-plus yard kick returns. So that was a little suspect. But otherwise, yeah, we were just sound across the board.
Yeah, we got Brian Label /Stable out there in the comments, and he's saying next time we need to ask Jake to recall jersey numbers. I can remember most of the 90 Bills because I was a kid and knew every detail about the players. That's pretty cool.
All right, Brian, what jersey do I have on right now? It's one of my prized possessions. I bought it about a few months ago, and I figured I'd pull it out for the game yesterday just because it was – I don't know. It was the first jersey I saw, and I figured I'd wear it today.
That should be an easy one. Should be an easy one. Definitely.
And
then, again, your dad jumped in with Shaq Lawson. And let's see. What did he say? There it is. He's got it.
Yeah, you're correct. Also, I want to give a shout-out to my brother-in-law, Zach Poffer. Thank you for joining, and thank you for mentioning Lee Smith. It truly made my day. Love blocking tight ends. So that made my entire day for sure. He was a locker room favorite as well.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it was like I said, let's finish up on the defensive line.
Yeah.
Pretty quiet. I thought, like I said, I think your dad, the guy that I saw flying around the ball the most on the D line. Of course, he was in against backups, but it was Shaq Lawson. And that's the guy who kind of stood out.
Shaq Lawson, and then so if you want to take a deeper dive, I was just talking about the initial starting 4, but going into the other guys, the added depth, which we have so much of. I thought Mike Love played a really nice game as well yesterday. He had that nice pass deflection. I think he had a couple tackles, and he has continued to definitely make an impression on me this whole entire preseason.
Oh, is he D-line or is he an edge rusher? What is he?
He's he's a hybrid guy. He's a little bit smaller, but he's technically a defensive end.
Okay.
And in our defense, we run a 4. Well,
yeah, I was just double checking
4-3, 4 defensive linemen. It's a nickel. We mainly run the nickel. We don't really have an inside linebacker or anything like that. But so he's on the outside there.
I did have a note, Mike bringing the love. I did have him as notable as well. So good stuff.
Mike
there.
Bringing the love. I love it.
Bringing the love.
And then there were 2 others, Mike. At the end of the game, Eli Anku had a nice sack to finish it off, and Brandon Bryant, I thought, did a nice job again. So 2 back-to-back games for him where I thought he definitely did an excellent job.
Awesome. Here, I just want to bring up Brian's. He's got some good. I love seeing this.
That's
awesome. I
awesome.
was at a game with family. First game for my kids. It was Kids Day. Great game. We were about
10 rows up too.
Nice.
That's great.
Jake, some of these positions we're going to talk about maybe, because we're going to have a 53-man roster prediction show coming up soon. Everyone's doing them. But while we're talking about these games, let's maybe, there's some key positions. I know I want to talk about running backs because that to me is scaring me. There's some really good talent that we're going to have to figure out how to keep. But as we go through these positions, keep that in mind. And if you think that there's somebody that has maybe jumped up and now you want to see them stay on this team and you don't feel they'll get through the, you don't feel they'll if they get released, that they won't be pulled by some other team. Because I got to tell you, man, what we saw on the field yesterday, the depth is so good for the Bills that a lot of teams are obviously just waiting to see who the Bills release.
It's all an audition tape for other teams right now. Yeah, it really is.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
All right, well, we had Milano and we had Edmonds out there to start the game on defense. Let's talk about linebackers. Let me throw it over to you. Any standouts there? And
out of those two, I didn't think either of them really did a whole lot to show me a ton. They weren't in that long anyways, but there was the one play where they actually ran into each other. I don't know if you saw that. I believe it was the first drive where they went to go make a tackle and they sort of just bumped heads. So there was that. And then otherwise, I didn't really see a whole lot from either of them. Talking about linebackers in general, my guy Balen Spector led the team in tackles again, Mike. No big deal. 8 tackles, I believe. 8 total tackles yesterday.
Yep, 8 tackles.
According to ESPN. And then I saw another stat that said he had 5 solos and 2 assists. So another site says 7 tackles. So I'm not really sure what it is. I typically like to base it off of Pro Football Reference when they come out with the stats at the end of the day, but it takes them a couple days to process. So I don't really know what the exact stat is, but in both scenarios, he led the team in tackles, which is great. I thought he had another nice day. There was the one play where he got caught in coverage. He was sort of running backwards, and then Jalen Virgil made that tremendous catch. That was like late in the third quarter against us when the Broncos were back in their own territory. Really nice play there by him. And tough. I mean, I thought the coverage was decent. He kind of had to make up some ground, but just a really nice catch by him. So I won't give him too many negative points for that one. But then Joe Giles Harris, that's another name, a guy that I think has really done a nice job filling in when he's out there. He's super aggressive. He runs the ball. He made some hard hits yesterday too. I don't know if you saw the one play where we actually stuffed him and stopped him from getting a touchdown on the one play. It was like right at the 1 yard line. One of their tight ends caught a pass and right across the middle, and he just decked him. I mean, it was great. You like to see the aggression coming out of a guy like that. So I know he's got a long way to go to make the roster, but I think he's done a really nice job these past 2 preseason games. So that is another name that stood out for me.
All right. I mean, again, I'm kind of with you when I was watching the game. I saw Spector get those 8 tackles, but no one really stood out to me. I'd love to hear in the channel who they thought stood out on the linebacker crew. And I don't have much more than what you offered up. He did say, Big L saying, I really liked that Milano and Edmonds were seen talking on the sidelines and really into the game.
That is good. Yeah.
For sure.
You know what? And I do appreciate that because a lot of these guys that aren't playing in the game, it's easy for them. It's kids' day. They're just hanging out on the sideline. It's probably easy for them to get distracted and just, talk about other things or maybe get involved with the crowd and look backwards and not really pay attention to the game. But it looked like everyone on the sidelines was locked in and they were all pulling for their teammates. So that's really something to be said about the culture, quote unquote, that Sean McDermott pitches all the time and talks about. But it's a real thing. I mean, you don't see that in a lot of other locker rooms across the NFL. So that was definitely a good thing to see.
So last year, the Bills kept six linebackers on the active roster.
Yeah.
And if we go down this list, we know that Edmonds is a lock. We know that Milano is a lock. Probably Terrell Bernard. We drafted him this year. It'd be crazy if he's not a lock. That's 3. Tyrell Dotson's been around. I feel like he's a lock.
He had a couple plays too. Tyrell Dotson. Yeah.
Andre Smith. He always plays well in preseason. Man, if this guy ever does get a chance in regular season, I feel good that he can come in and actually produce for us. So I believe, I was saying like last week, I was asking you, do we keep a spot for him? He's going to be suspended for 6 games, first 6 games of the year. And I think the answer is yes. I really do. Yep. And then so that's 5. And then you got that 6th spot. Probably the way he's been playing is Spector, Balen Spector. Yeah. But you mentioned you got Joe Giles Harris and
Tyler Matakevich.
Yes.
Who was a special teams ace. And they really
who made the squad last year. And there's a couple special team aces that you got to be wondering, man, can we get away without them? We'll talk about another one later on. I mean, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, if they're going to keep the same amount as last year.
Right. I know it's so tough. It's so tough, Mike, because they don't really offer additional value outside of special teams. But special teams is so important. You saw it yesterday. We had two, I think they were 40 plus. The one was a 63-yarder, and the other, I think, was 40-something yards. And that's important. I mean, guys staying in their lanes, being disciplined, that's super important. It's always overlooked, and no one really cares about it. But, I mean, it's a big part of the game. It's a third of the game. And it is hard to part ways with a guy that's so good and so disciplined and can make plays and prevent, a big play from happening. So I think out of those three special teams aces who we have, Tyler Matakevich, Taiwan Jones, and Jake Kumro, we got to keep one of them at least, And I don't know if Tyler Matakevich is that guy. I don't know if Taiwan Jones is or Jake Kumro. It's a really, really tough thing to say because I feel like in all those position groups, there's just and it's super intense battle going on amongst all those guys. And right now we're talking linebacker right now. Do we keep six? I think 6 is probably the number. That's what we kept last year. Andre Smith, sort of a liability in the fact that he suspended the first 6 games of the year. So that does create a roster spot technically.
True.
But then, Balin Spector has been outperforming his draft stock big time. I feel like he has certainly made a case that we have to keep him. If we put him down to the practice squad, if we try to put him down to the practice squad, I mean, I don't know if he stays with us. I think another team picks him up. I don't know if he clears waivers. So it's like a really, really tough battle. And I don't know what we're going to do. I would hate to be Brandon Beane right now. Like, it's just so many tough decisions to make.
There's definitely quite a few. And again, I always say his name wrong. Matakevich. Did I get that right? Did I say it right?
Yeah.
All right, good. Yep. Matakevich. And it really comes down to, I don't know. Did you see Spector at all on special teams? I don't know.
I think he played a little specials. It was on kickoff, I believe.
I have to say that they've got him out there. To me, I don't know. I go back and forth, Jake. Maybe I don't appreciate special teams as much as you. I don't know. Yeah. But a guy that can bring value, like for instance, I feel Spector, if he had to in a pinch, get into that starting lineup,
absolutely,
he could produce, and I feel like he could produce on special teams. Maybe not to the level of a guy like why do I always mess
Matakevich?
Matakevich. Right, I'll just throw it to you on the name, but that's just me. But I don't know. That's one of the tough decisions. So there's one right there we can talk about. I love who the channel thinks is going to happen. Are we willing to give up these special team aces that Jake has mentioned for one of these players who we feel, he was a late round pick, but I mean his stock is up, and I see him definitely getting picked up.
And I think it's a trade-off. It's like a trade-off you have to be comfortable with, because as good as these guys are playing special teams, they don't offer that same value on offense or defense. So, like, you have to be okay with maybe giving up a big play here and there and just hoping your defense bails you out or your offense bails you out, Yeah.
All right. Well, Brian, you probably already left. He says, I got to go, guys. I'll catch the full
salute to you,
later.
Sir.
Appreciate you coming out and saying hi to everyone. And then we got Bills Mafia popping in here. He says, man, I'm over hating on Chiefs getting Karlaftis. Dude really got a sack yesterday on a double team and a hold at the same time. Yeah. A lot of people, I mean, even on our last show, just buzzing about this pick here. So
he's going to be a problem, man. The Chiefs got a good one in him for sure. And they've been trying to beef up that D-line a little bit. I think they got their guy, no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then your dad popping in here saying they got to somehow keep all of them. I know, like Jake said, I mean, the fact that Smith is suspended, I mean, so they'll have about 6 weeks to think that over, right?
Yep.
They don't have to really make that decision to start the season, but it'll be interesting to see for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the problem is too, like, if we do try to put these guys on the practice squad, do they clear waivers? I just don't think they do. The depth that we have, those guys are all contributors on other teams, I feel like, in one way or the other.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on to corners. So this, oh my God, a couple of shows ago, I forget what show, we do so many shows, Jake, but I had a real concern about corners, and I was like, let's bring in a vet. I'm not having that concern. Are these corners are looking good. All of them. Benford, Cam Lewis, Elam, and whoever we seem to have back there seems to be doing a great job. So let me throw it to you. Talk to me about corners.
Well, I think the forgotten name last week was Dane Jackson, and he came out and showed why he is going to be CB1 come week 1, as Leslie Frazier also reiterated. He played a really good game yesterday. I know we got that aggressive pass interference penalty, but I'm okay with aggressive penalties every once in a while. And I thought that was a pretty ticky-tack call, to be honest with you. I actually thought the one play where Kendall Hinton had that one-handed grab in the end zone, I thought that was more of a pass interference, but maybe they just offset the two. But, yeah, I thought Dane Jackson played a really good game yesterday. He looked awesome. He put the clamps on everyone he was up against. I mean, very tight coverage every time. So I actually, I know it was against, Kendall Hinton and I think the other kid, Washington for
yeah, keep that in perspective. We are going against backups here, right?
Right.
So, just keep that in mind.
Yeah, so absolutely keep that in mind. Kendall Hinton does have some playing experience. I don't know if you remember, Mike, he was the COVID quarterback for the Broncos back in 2020 when they had no quarterbacks available because everyone was on the COVID list. He had to come in. He went like one for 13 and 12 yards or something like that. But and that's because he had like a year of experience of playing quarterback at Wake Forest. But he's actually developed into a decent receiver as well. So I kind of like what he's done in the preseason. So just to give a nod to the Broncos, I think he's done a very nice job this preseason for them. But, going back to Dane Jackson, I felt pretty good about his play yesterday. I thought he did an excellent job. He put the clamps on Kendall Hinton and a couple other guys, so it was definitely a good thing to see. The other side, you had Kyer Elam, who did get an aggressive penalty, a pass interference call, but I still thought played pretty decent. And I think the standout corner for me yesterday actually was Cam Lewis. He was physical out there. He was all over the field. I mean, I thought he really did a great job yesterday. So that was my standout guy yesterday. Another guy that showed some toughness was a straight-up hockey guy yesterday. Got lacerations on his face. He had 6 stitches underneath his eye when he was running down on a kickoff. I guess he got a knee to his face, went to the sidelines. His face is all bloodied up. Nick McLeod. His teammates were super concerned. They were looking at him in horror, and he was wondering what the hell was the deal. And then he kind of put his hand to his face, and he saw there was blood. So he had to get 6 stitches during the game. He came back out and continued playing, which is just credit to him on his toughness for that one, which you love to see, just tough, gritty guy. But I think the standout for me was definitely Cam Lewis, as I said.
All right, I like what Bills Mafia is saying. We don't know how good our corners are until they play Cheetah. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's definitely true.
Good point. And we're going to...
A lot of ties to the Chiefs with this Bills Mafia guy. He's talking about George Karlaftis, Tyreek Hill.
There's a reason. There's a reason, right? They've had our number. So I definitely get it. I mean,
no, you're right. Yeah.
Until we can get a monkey off our back, there's always going to be, the concern. There's a lot of good teams in the AFC, but the Chiefs to me are still that team until we can beat them.
Sure.
They're not going to. Are they going to be the same? No, they'll be different. But I feel like with the additions that they put on defense, that's going to make him a lot better already. And we know Mahomes; he's one of the best quarterbacks there is. So he'll get it done with whoever he has to throw the ball to. So I don't blame Bills Mafia.
Now I will say this though. I will say this though, Mike. Pat Mahomes is at times a one-read guy. And if his main target's not open, he starts to almost panic a little bit and he scrambles out of the pocket. He can kind of give you what Josh does a little bit, and he can throw on the run. I don't think he's as good as Josh at doing it, but that's going to be really interesting this year because with the lack of I know they tried to substitute Tyreek's speed, but I don't know if he can really do that. I know Sky Moore is super fast, and he offers that value as well, but it's just not going to be the same for him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you can't replace a Tyreek Hill, but it is going to force Mahomes to do things a little different. Look for look for that additional read that maybe he wasn't doing. Bills Mafia. Listen, I hate the Chiefs. I'm just throwing out good points.
Of course, man. No, I appreciate it. I think they're all valid concerns and valid points. And one last thing about the Chiefs. Yesterday, Jody Fortson, Buffalo, New Yorker, went to South Park High School, Mike. Really, grinded his way to the league. He went to community college. I think he was actually at ECC for a hot second. Then he went and transferred out. He went to Valdosta State. he caught a touchdown pass yesterday, and he's going to get some time this year. He's just behind Travis Kelce as the tight end there. Wearing number 88, so big shoes to fill. You're wearing 88 in Kansas City. Tony Gonzalez, I mean, that number should have been retired. I'm not sure what they're doing there, but he did catch a touchdown yesterday, so that was cool to see. Always love to see Buffalonians doing good things in the NFL.
So let's talk about, again, the cornerback position, because I'm scared here. I feel like there's – all right, so last year, I'm just going against last year, they kept 5 corners.
Yep.
Right?
Which I think is low. I think it's actually a low number.
I think we're going to have to go to 6, because let's go through them, right? We got Trey White, Taron Johnson, we got Elam, we got Dane Jackson. That's 4.
Yep.
And then you have
Christian
Cam
Benford.
Lewis, Christian Benford, Jamarcus Ingram, Jordan Miller, Saran Neal, who you really like.
Yep.
And again, I'm going off of PFF. I know some of these guys are bordering safeties as well. But anyhow, let's talk about if we were to only keep 5, who's that 5? So obviously it's Trey White, Taron Johnson, Elam, and Dane Jackson. There's 4. Who's that 5th? I mean, I don't want to lose Cam Lewis. I don't want to lose.
You got to have 6. You can't go 5. You got to have 6. Yeah.
Right.
You can't lose Christian Benford. And then, man, the way Cam Lewis played yesterday, I mean, he has experience with this team.
Yeah.
A few years, actually.
Yep.
So that's another guy you don't want to potentially lose either. And Saran Neal. Saran Neal is a special teams guy too, And he offers versatility. He could play. He's a little bit bigger too. And you saw the first game going back to the Chiefs. You saw the first game against the Chiefs last year in the regular season. We jammed Travis Kelce all day with Saran Neal, and he did a tremendous job.
So even if you keep 6, it sounds like we're going to lose somebody that's going to get snagged. And so again, Saran Neal, Cam Lewis, Benford. If we're keeping
tough decisions, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tough decisions.
I don't know. I think again, can we make the active roster? Can we put a petition in to extend it to 56, 57 players instead of 53?
I know, right? They did have it for COVID. I think it was 56 or something like that, and then they brought it back down to 53, which is it's like, come on, man. Colleges are allowed to dress 66, I believe. So it's different, man.
Last week I reported stock down on my guy Elijah Griffin, and he was cut on Monday. But guess who picked him up? Mr. Dable over there
Giants.
on the Giants.
Yep.
So I wish him all the luck. I think there was just too much talent here at the cornerback position, and I'll tell you what, I do think Elijah Griffin, based on his college career at USC. And the little that I did see of him, I think he'll be fine. And Dable saw something in him. Obviously, Dable saw something in him to bring him over.
Yeah.
And again, it's just one of those things like, who are the Bills releasing? We're going to pick these people up. So scary stuff.
Yeah. Well, we got cut down to 80 players on Tuesday, Mike, by 4 p.m. So there's 5 guys. I think we're right at 85 right now, because it was a cut down to 85 last week on the 16th. And now it's cut down to 80 on the 23rd. So 5 guys potentially that have to be let go by Tuesday.
Yeah. So
Jody's a monster. He's an absolute monster. He really is. He's got a lot of potential, that kid.
We'll circle back around on this maybe when we get to the on the offense, talking about receivers. But we kind of had this conversation. I don't know if it was a week or 2 weeks ago, but it's still out there. It's still hanging out there. Whether Odell would be a good fit over here. Bills Mafia's like, just keep them all. Antonio, good to see you out there. James Cook is going to be great for us. I'll tell you what, we're about to get into the offense, and man, all those running backs look fantastic. So we'll get into that real soon. And that's what Antonio just said there. All our running backs are pretty good. And your guy Blackshear, who
that video is blowing up, Mike. It's going viral. That video is
blowing up.
About it.
I should have queued the video up here to kind of show everybody. And maybe I will while you're doing some talking. And
once we get to the running backs, I think you have to play it. It's not to brag. It's a shameless plug. I actually posted on Twitter yesterday too, because my cousin had tweeted about it, and he's like, Blackshear's looking like a real NFL running back. And I said, I've been saying this for months now, and I said people finally starting to take notice. I had a few people retweet me and like it and all that, so that was kind of cool.
All right, so let's finish up with the safeties. Obviously, no Hyde, no Poyer, and that's fine. That's just fine with me. And but talk about the two that did start, and what you saw, what you like.
I thought the highlight out of the two between Damar Hamlin and Jaquan Johnson again, just finds a way to have his name out there. He does a really, really nice job when he has to come in. And I know the Bills coaching staff has been super high on him since day one, but he continues to make plays on the field. And I actually feel I'm starting to feel more comfortable in case, injuries happen, that he can come in and do their job. Obviously not at the same level, but I do think he can get it done. So I think out of the two that started, Jaquan Johnson played a really nice game yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have too much to add there. Like you said, Daquan has been making plays, and that's really what matters. And I just think, again, like you, I'm getting more comfort level if something was to happen with Poyer or Hyde, and we had to have one of these young kids come in and fill that position.
And Damar Hamlin's still really good. I thought he was a steal when we picked him 2 years ago in the draft. So I love him as well. I think he's a really good prospect. Just again, that's why day 3 matters so much, Mike. And everyone thinks I'm crazy for watching every single pick of the draft and for throwing a little hissy fit with my wife, saying, well, we can't get married on day 3. I remember I was at the altar and we picked Taron Johnson. And there's actually a picture of my buddy showing me the pick. And it got into our wedding photos, which is hilarious. But that's why it's so important. And potentially, I will say this. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, best day 3 NFL drafters to ever exist.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, let's get into the offensive side of things because a lot of good stuff here. Let's set the stage once again. The Bills started 10 of their 11 day 1 projected starters. The only one who was missing was Dawson, and we know what he's dealing with, and our hearts go out to him. Anyhow, he had Tommy Sweeney starting, but everyone else was starting, going against the defense.
Spencer Brown, too. They started David Quessenberry at right tackle, but Spencer Brown did get in.
Right. So, what I was saying is day 1 starters. I mean, right now you got to think it might be Quessenberry starting week 1. So, anyhow, 10 of the 11, and they look good. But remember, they were not going against starters from Denver. Last year I was going to say Denver had a pretty good defense, and again, so when you're going against backups, these numbers are going to be inflated, and boy, are they inflated. So let me throw it over to you. Let's start on that quarterback position. Let me throw it to you. We got to see our guy, Josh Allen, and then, I have a lot of things to say. So let me throw it to you. Talk to me about the quarterbacks.
Yeah, quarterback play across the board was incredible. You're not going to get much better than that. We threw 3 total incompletions all day yesterday, and our guy Josh just walks out there, goes 3 for 3, 45 yards and a touchdown, day over. That's all we had to see. We'll see you in February. No big deal. He was as if, I don't know if this guy can continue to impress me more, but he somehow does. Just the release that he had yesterday, the timing, everything was just on. And I think people were worrying a little bit about how his interaction would be with Ken Dorsey, talking a new guy in the headset on game day, how it would be, how the transition would be from Brian Dable to him. I'm not worried in the least bit. I think it was a natural move anyways to put Ken Dorsey at the OC. He's been working with Josh the last few seasons as it is. And God, he looks so freaking good, Mike. Like just the release, the ball was coming out with velocity, and how about that touchdown pass? I mean, the guy steps up into the pocket, backs up, does a little spin move, somehow is able to keep his eyes downfield, sees Gabe Davis, and launches the ball effortlessly 40 yards in the air pretty much, for a 28-yard touchdown. It was just a thing of beauty. I mean, that is a throw that maybe only 2 other quarterbacks in the league can make, and I'm going to say, maybe 3. I would say maybe Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Justin Herbert are the 3 guys that can maybe make that throw. Other than that, you're not seeing that out of anyone. And actually, I think the athleticism there and the ability to be aware and keep your eyes downfield is something that you can't even coach. That's just something you have or you don't. And no one really outside of Josh can do that. It's just amazing. Like, I can't say enough about how good this guy is. He is the best quarterback in the NFL. I don't care. Call me a homer if you will, but the guy is just insane. He is so freaking good. And I know, listen, it's a preseason game. We're playing against backups, but to make the throw, I don't care who you're playing against. I don't care if you're playing against Champ Bailey. To make that type of throw is just, I have no words. So there's Josh. I'm done. I'm done. That's all I want to say about Josh.
By the way, on that play, Questenberry was in. So the right tackle and left tackle, they were doing a fantastic job. The pocket was collapsing a little bit, but
he stepped up. Felt
and then he just kind of felt a little pressure. But those tackles had it on lock, man. They even when he stepped back, he was given a little more time by those tackles. So I was good to see Questenberry doing that again. I believe he's going to be the day one starter. How long that lasts, I don't know. Once Spencer Brown's ready to go, we know he's the guy. But it was good to see Questenberry.
I'm okay with that too. David Questenberry is a proven starter in this league. He started 16 games last year, so that's totally fine with me.
Absolutely.
Get Spencer healthy. But going back to the quarterbacks, so now let's talk about Case Keenum. Everyone calling for his head last week, saying he looked unprepared, saying he can't play in the NFL. He's not even an NFL quarterback. My cousin, who does the WGR postgame show, said he had a caller. I didn't hear it, but I guess a caller called in saying that Case Keenum should be the starting quarterback, which is bonkers. But he looked that good yesterday that, you can maybe make an argument on other teams that he could potentially be a starting quarterback. I know he was playing against backups, but it was encouraging to see the rebound game that he had yesterday. He went 16 for 18, 192 yards and a touchdown. He looked so much better yesterday, Mike. It was like night and day. Really, really did a great job and was super impressed by him. Still can't believe a caller actually came in and said that yesterday. But, he did an awesome job. He really did. I mean, he was sharp. He was on. And I think it was a good confidence boost for him. And it made us feel better as a fan base knowing that he will probably be our backup quarterback moving into the season. Then we had Matthew Barkley, Bitcoin Barkley, who, again, 6 for 7, 65 yards. Didn't really have to do a whole lot because we were up by so many points. Did a lot more handing off than throwing, but when he had to make the throws, he did. He threw a nice out route to my guy, Tavon Austin. He made some nice throws to Isaiah Hodgins, and he was able to drive the Bills downfield. 6 out of 7 possessions, Mike. I wanted to go for the perfect 7 out of 7, but they needed to give Matt Hawk some audition tape for other teams, which was cool by Sean McDermott. I thought that was a classy move by him. 4th and 1 on the 50. Most of the time you're going for that, but I do think he did it for Matt Hawk's purpose, just to see if he could do a little coffin corner or pin him in the 20, just for other teams. Not that he needs more film because he's been playing in the NFL for a few years now, but you always like to see what you've done for a team lately, and it wasn't anything crazy to talk about the 38-yard punt, but nonetheless, 6 out of 7 possessions. I mean, you can't get much better than that. And I was wondering during the game, like, are we going to actually be the first team ever have the first perfect postseason game and first perfect preseason game where we go every single series with a score? But this close, Mike, this close. But quarterback play, I mean, just amazing. It was like, I think in total, I looked at the numbers and it was 26 for 29, 302 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just unreal day. Unreal.
Yeah, it was amazing. It don't matter. So you and I last week, we both said, we'll give Keenum a pass. And this is why. Look, he got to play with, I think he got a series with Diggs at least. And I think
he got series with the starters. Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm gonna say this right now. If take Josh out of the picture for a second. And if I had to put you behind that line, that offense, and you had a QB for one series, I'm telling you what, I'm going to put it over 50% that you have a successful drive. I mean, when you have the guys that you're going to hand the ball off to, when you have that offensive line who looked stellar yesterday, it was great seeing that offensive line that we've been talking about all training camp and now seeing them on the field with Saffold there, all the starters except for Spencer Brown. And like you said, Questenberry it was 16-game starter last year. So great line, and they were opening up holes. So put you back there in quarterback. I think a lot of people would be successful behind what's in front of them there. So good stuff.
I agree.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then Barkley just, again, he looked solid again. He was like, 7 of 8, and Keenum was 16 of 18. Just Fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
just a crazy day, Mike.
And it was nice to see Keenum. He threw that touchdown. Nice pass. I think it was to O.J. Howard, right? Was it Howard who caught that?
Yeah, O.J.
Right,
Howard, yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
Nice job winning
Very
inside
nice.
by him. We'll talk about him in a little bit. I was happy to see that for him because I think he was starting to fall out of graces with the coaching staff a little bit, you know?
He throws me off at that number 8 for sure.
It's so weird. I hate the college-like numbers that these NFL guys are wearing, but hey, it's whatever.
Yeah. All right, so good stuff on the quarterbacks. Let's get into the running back situation here. And this is another one where, like, who do we keep? How do we keep all these guys? Because, I mean, I'm looking at the stat sheet right now, and you have 27 carries for 208 yards, 7.7 average.
I was just trying to look at that. Yeah,
and that
holy
is
cow.
that's with what was his name? Matt Barkley rushing once for -1.
Once for -1 on the knee.
You take that out of the picture,
Yeah.
and you got 26 carries for 207 yards for an average of over 8 yards a carry. No matter who was back there, they did an amazing job. So,
and then you factor in the goal line runs that we had with Zach Moss. Even take those out of the picture, and I mean, you're averaging maybe closer to 10 yards a carry. It's
Zach Moss averaged 4.8. He had 2 touchdowns. Blackshear averaged 11.6. Duke Johnson 6.1. He had 2 touchdowns. Singletary 9.8. James Cook 9.5. Come on, are you kidding me? So let me throw it over to you.
We're gonna find a way to make running the football fun again. And I know my brother-in-law, if you're still listening, he probably hates hearing this because he hates running the football. But I can deal with it in this type of offense. I mean, the way that we ran yesterday, the interior of the offensive line played so well. The offensive line across the board played super well, but I want to give a shout out to the 2 guards up front and Mitch Morris in the middle. I mean, just did awesome. I mean, we ran the ball right down their throats. Devin Singletary on that first initial run he had, that 18-yarder, Mike, boy, he looked good. He looked like the Devin Singletary we saw last year, in the playoffs. He just, I mean, he was carrying that team on his back. It's just
helps when you have an offensive line that can run block.
They got it done up front. That certainly helped a lot. Shout out to Aaron Cromer for getting those guys ready. He's one of the best in the business. But, the running backs really, I don't have a single bad thing to say about any of them. How about Duke Johnson?
I know.
Just sticking in there. I mean, 2 touchdowns. He actually, I don't know if you saw on the 1 touchdown, he sort of came up kind of holding his hamstring a little bit, but he continued to play in the game. I don't know if something happened there, if he just tweaked it or whatever. But he looked okay after that, so that was definitely a good thing. But, he scored 2 touchdowns, and he's normally known for, catching the football out of the backfield, not so much for running it. But there's been sort of a shift over the last year with him. Last year in Miami, he had 3 really good games with them, mainly running the football. He didn't catch that many passes. So it's nice to see that he's showing that other element of his game because he came into the league as more of a scat back, a guy that was just catching the ball out of the backfield. But he can run it as well. So that was nice to see. And do I think he's going to be here at the end of the day? It's such a tough roster to crack. I think on any normal Bills roster, he'd make it in a heartbeat. But this year is going to be so tough. Zach Moss scoring 2 touchdowns. I think he has officially locked his place in on this roster. I mean, Devin Singletary is probably going to be the day 1 starter. James Cook looked explosive yesterday. He looked really, really good too. He's going to be our 3rd down back, most likely, catching passes out of the backfield. Zach Moss, you might want to consider him for fantasy as a late-round pick because he's going to be a touchdown guy this year. He might score 7 or 8 touchdowns just because we'll be close in on the goal line there. And why risk Josh and get him injured when you could hand it to Zach Moss and potentially score a touchdown there? So I think
and then you forgot about your guy Blackshear.
I wanted to tee it up for my guy here, Mike. I don't know if you have that video on file.
I was able to get it. So let's roll the tape here.
Here we go.
This is scary. This is Jake seeing into the future. We did this show on June 25th. Check this out. This is, like I said, it's a little scary to me. Here we go.
And then we have another guy, Mike. And I don't want you to sleep on this young man. He's undrafted. He's not actually on the slide. His name's Raheem Blackshear. He's an undrafted free agent out of Virginia Tech. Started his career off at Rutgers, went to Va Tech, was all ACC last year. A guy that brings just that, the versatility. I would say he's like right now, I would say he's a poor man's Darren Sproles. He can return kicks. He can return punts. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's an all-purpose player. He even said it himself. He wants to be like another Deebo Samuel, which is very interesting. I think that is a guy that is going to star in the preseason, and he's going to be one of those fan favorites. He's going to give a little bit of competition to those running backs. So maybe he even overtakes Zach Moss.
Are you kidding me? This is exactly what has happened here. Now overtaking Zach Moss, maybe not.
The end part is a little off, but everything else.
Fan favorite, surprise. Nobody heard of this kid. And I was laughing when Jake brought up this guy, and I think even towards the end of the show, I was like,
everyone wrote me off.
I'll trust you, Jake, because you do find some nuggets there. But oh my gosh, I mean, to a T, you nailed it. So again, he had another fantastic game, 5 for 58, average 11.6, even looked good. Again, I think he caught a few passes as well. What do you have here? He had 2 for 21.
Mm-hmm. Heads up play on the kickoff too, not to take it out of the end zone. I mean, smart kid, smart player. Boy, he's making a case, Mike. He's making a case.
So last year, Jake, we kept 1, 2, 3. We kept 4 running backs and a fullback, Gilliam. Now we know Gilliam's a lock.
Right.
The 4 running backs that included Tywan Jones, who's another special teams ace. Now, if we're going to keep, I mean, let's go through it real quick. We got Singletary, who's our starter. He's a lock. We know James Cook is a lock. It looks like Zach Moss is a lock. And I had said this. We have Moss signed for 2 years. He brings that little bit of physicality. We know what he was dealing with last year. We heard about this, not that long ago, where he had pins in his ankle throughout the season, which made it tough. Yeah. He's healthy now. I feel he's a lock. So if we're going to keep 4 running backs here, it's either Tywan Jones or Blackshear. What's going to give here? And I know you love these special teams guys, but I don't know how you can let Blackshear go. I would hate to see this guy get cut by us, picked up by, Mr. Dable. He seems to be picking up all our guys, but
he would too. Yeah.
A lot of people are going to pick this guy up. So how do we get him on the squad there, Jake?
You have to find a way to get this guy on the active roster. I find it hilarious how the change in tune has been over the last few weeks. So starts off, you just have maybe only me and his family maybe talking this guy up. And true Virginia Tech fans, I got to give a nod to one of the guys on the comment section of that video. He got on me a little bit about saying Va-Tech, so I will not ever say that word other than that last time I just said it there. Yeah. I will now say Virginia Tech or just Hokies. So I'm not going to say Va-Tech anymore. But again, like I said, a guy that probably wasn't known or talked about by anyone outside of true Virginia Tech fans or his family or maybe some crazy football nerds like myself. So here we are.
I still don't know how you found that, Jim.
I watched a little bit of tape on him because when we signed him as an undrafted free agent, I was like, you know what? Let's see what this kid's made of. I had watched a couple Virginia Tech games last year, and he looked pretty good. He didn't put up crazy numbers, like 700-something yards, but he was an all-ACC player, and he showed that he had a little bit of potential, Mike. You could see that his and we're seeing it right now, his vision, his one-step cuts, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very impressive. He's got some explosiveness. He looks like an NFL running back. And, boy, I mean, like I said, it's hilarious to see the change in tune. Last week he started getting some buzz. Everyone's like, oh, maybe practice squad. We'll see what happens, But does he make the team? Probably not. He's probably going to get cut. After yesterday's game, people calling for any possible way to make room for him on the 53-man. So it's amazing to see the change in tune and the effect he has had on the fan base. There's always that guy, I think, during the preseason that the Bills fans really pull for. And this year it's Raheem Blackshear. I mean, it's just it's awesome. I love what I'm seeing from him. Yesterday, again, continues to impress. I think he actually played even better yesterday than he did the week before. I know he scored twice the week before, but the stuff he was doing yesterday, he just looked so fluid. I mean, everything was just crisp. I mean, he was smart heads up play on the kickoff. He caught every pass thrown his way. He ran the ball well inside. He ran the ball well outside. He had some really nice cut moves. I mean, just everything he did was just awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible. So, I mean, again, are you willing to give up Taiwan Jones? That's been another conversation I've
It's a
seen out
valid
there.
question.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting. Jake, you and I were going to go a little fast forward here because unfortunately I got a kid's soccer game
Sure.
to get
Yeah.
to today, and I hate to cut any of our shows short. But let's again, Taiwan Jones, again, these special teams aces, are we willing to release one or two of those guys in order to keep these? We talked about
Just
corners.
one final thing. One final thing,
go
too,
ahead.
about the Taiwan Jones thing.
Yeah.
Taiwan Jones, 6 foot, 195. Raheem Blackshear, a little bit smaller, 5'9", $190. So similar, I guess
Yeah.
you could say, in size. Does height really matter? Sometimes, but
I thought I was going to get a lot more pushback from you. I know you're a big special teams guys.
I am, and it pains me to say, because he killed us. And then it's funny, Taiwan Jones came back and haunted us in the playoffs with the Texans. I don't know if you remember a few years back. And then we signed him again the year after because we didn't want that to happen again, So he could be the Bills, nail in the coffin potentially again, but I hope not.
All right, let's move on to the receivers here. We'll be quick about this. Every receiver looked fantastic.
Yeah.
Khalil Shakir, again, on the rise. Stock on the rise. That kid is going to make his way onto the field. I think he can make his way onto the field day one, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got to get in there. He's got to get some plays. And I wouldn't be surprised if I see him at SoFi Stadium on that opening Thursday night game. But everyone else, I mean, Gabe did Gabe. Diggs did Diggs. The real question is, again, we got another competition going on here, and it's Hodgins and Kumaro. Again, Kumaro, more of a special teams ace. And are you willing to part with Kumaro for a Hodgins? Or is it that Hodgins is really just playing against, backups for the most part? I don't know. What's your thought there? Let's keep it to that conversation. Just
Sure.
Hodgins versus Kumaro.
Yeah. So Isaiah was playing a lot of specials yesterday, I noticed. And it could be a sign of the Bills just seeing what he can do on special teams. And if he can be similar to what Jay Kumaro is, on special teams, being a gunner and getting downfield and making plays, then, yeah, his job is definitely in jeopardy. And we were talking last week, Mike, about potentially keeping 7 receivers and how I thought that was the number. But with the emergence of Raheem Blackshear and, how much we do value special teams in general, do we get rid of one special teams guy to keep another? And in addition to that, make a roster spot for a guy like Raheem Blackshear so we can keep more than 4 running backs even. It's a really interesting conversation to have. So maybe we only keep 6 receivers, and that way it allows us to keep an extra running back, an extra linebacker, which we may need to because Andre Smith is suspended. So it's it poses a really good question, but I do think Jake Kumero's job is in jeopardy, and he's going to be battling for it. And Tavon Austin, I'll just say this. He was in yesterday, but does he have a spot on the team? Probably not.
No, I don't think so either. Tell me one thing real quick. Because Hodgins and Kumaro are both similar size.
Yeah.
What does Hodgins have for you over Kumaro, if there is anything at all?
A lot of people were saying speed, but he's not super fast. He's not a burner or anything like that. I mean, you could see that even on the tape from last week where he ran that. It was on the line, he had a release, and he ran sort of like a fade route. That corner caught up to him. I mean, he made a really nice catch. Don't get me wrong. He dove, He laid himself out there, but that corner was right on him. So he doesn't have like blazing speed by any means. He does offer the size thing where he's 6'4", 218, but so does Jake Kumaro. So they're very similar in that stance. I think the biggest difference maker is going to be what they can both offer on special teams and showing the ability to be sure-handed, make those tough catches. And I think Isaiah is winning the battle on offense. On special teams, I'm not ready to say that he's a better special teams player than Jake Kumaro. So it's really what you value more.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've really heard of Hodgins. Like if I was to compare the two, special teams edge right now for Kumaro, of course, maybe hands, a little better hands for Hodgins.
Yeah,
and that's really it. So it's going to be interesting. Another tough call right there.
I hate to be the coaching staff and GM, man. It's just tough.
All right, let's real quick on the tight end. Obviously, OJ Sweeney started the game. And OJ Howard, finally, there was a OJ Howard spotting on the field. Like he made his he finally saw that number 8 again. Throws me off when I see a tight end with the number 8, but he
So
caught a touchdown
weird.
pass. I think he caught, what did he catch here? 3 passes for 16 yards. Not a ton, but he caught that nice. It was a nice catch, by the way, that touchdown. It looked like it was a little bit of one-handed grab there. But nice to see him out there. And again, there's another interesting situation going on there with Sweeney, Howard, and of course Knox. We know Knox, and like is Howard a lock? I know you think he is. Is he a lock, or is Sweeney, who's been with the Bills now, what this would be his 3rd season? You know, I know he didn't play much the first season at all. I don't think he played at all because of a health issue there. But again, another interesting battle kind of there. We got Gilliam in a pinch if he ever needed to play tight end. We're not going to keep 4. So who do you see there? Is it going to be Howard
you
or
did
Sweeney?
fail to mention. You did fail to mention one other guy, Quentin Morris.
Okay.
Another Mac School guy who had a really nice catch week 1 in the preseason, but he was in there yesterday too, and he was on the field quite a bit. He played in the backfield a little bit on the one Zach Moss touchdown. He was the lead blocker there. I don't know if you saw that. He offers some speed too. He was a former receiver, converted to tight end. He played at Bowling Green, so smaller school guy, played in the MAC, which I love my MAC players. But he is definitely making a case for himself. I think he could play in this league, and whether he makes the active roster or not, I don't know if that's the case, but he's definitely at least worthy of a practice squad spot. But again, does he clear waivers? But I definitely think he's given some competition as well. He really is a unique player. So that's another guy to keep your eye on. OJ definitely helped himself yesterday by catching that touchdown pass. I was a little worried, to be honest, and it was discouraging. You heard all these things at camp that he was dropping a lot of passes, and he wasn't making those easy grabs that he should be making. So it was good to see yesterday. It was a tough route. I mean, he won inside. He did a really nice job. Good throw by Case, and nice way to end off the half, of course, too. So, I want to see more involvement, definitely. I'm not ready to give up on him just yet, and he showed a little bit of what he can offer yesterday. As long as we execute, he's got to make the play, and he finally did.
Right. So we know Knox is a lock, and again, it comes down to Sweeney or Howard, in my opinion.
And Tommy Sweeney has had a really good camp from what I've heard.
Yeah. So, and I've always, Tommy Sweeney, he has had health issues, kind of like Hodgins, but when he's in there, he makes plays. So that'll be an interesting final cut there. And then let's real quick, special teams. Not much to say other than I think there was one punt in the game for us. It was Matt Hawk who got the kick, and nice little punt, got him, inside the 20. Matt Ariza, we know it's Matt Ariza's show right now. They're just auditioning Hawk. Ariza again, he held all the extra points. What was it?
6 for 6, baby.
Right, exactly. So
great snap. Hey, Reed Ferguson, great job yesterday snapping the football too. I mean, come on now. Give some love to the long snapper. Great holds, great kicks. Everything went well there. Very well executed.
It all starts with him. I mean, that's what makes that's what's going to make Ariza's job even easier if you have a long snapper who just is spot on all the time.
We can put the concern for him being a holder aside for now. I think.
Yeah, I'm over that conversation as well. So I think that's a wrap, Jake. That's pretty much it. Again, I'm sorry I got to end the show a little bit early today, but we went over our hour, which is always kind of
pretty
our
standard
average there. Again, I want to say thank you to all on the channel. Love seeing you. Love the interaction. Get into that giveaway. This is the final show for us until next week when we announce the winner. So you don't have any other opportunities. Maybe I think there might be a golf show you can put some comments on to potentially get some more entries. But get into the giveaway. I want to see a huge Bills fan win this, and I just can't wait to see who we give this to. And I want to say, if you're new to the channel, please comment, like, and drop a nickel on that subscribe button. Smash it right now, because this is how we're able to continue to bring you great giveaways, right? Sponsors, they're seeing our show, they're seeing us grow, they like our content, and they're going to continue to work with us if they see our channel continuing to grow. And, Otto's been great. They've done 2 giveaways with us. I know we've got another one lined up here shortly. And Jake and I are going to focus. We've already said, look, any sponsor we get, let's get people to Bills games, because the response we've had to this giveaway has been bigger than any of the 4 that we've had, or any of the other 3 that we had previously. And we want to see people going to Bills games. There's too many folks out there that have not been able to get to a game, and we want to send you there. So help us out. Hit that subscribe button. Again, smash it right now. Jake, thank you. Usually I give you a little time to wrap up. We'll talk soon. Everyone else, have a good one. We'll see you next Sunday to announce the winner of the giveaway.
Big day. Go Bills, baby.